Hello guys, so welcome back. So in this tutorial I will talk about the microservice development. Basically I have designed this series of tutorial just to explain what is microservice and how we can leverage this microservice architecture to develop our product, our service, okay, in our real-time example. So let's first understand what is microservice. So in your real-time example, if any application which is comprises of the multiple small services and those services can be developed, deployed and scalable independently, then we say like that. So this is the microservice, okay. So like I said, here is any application which is made up of the multiple small services. So here the important thing is the small services which are independent, right? So that you can develop, deploy and scalable independently. So this is all about microservice. And the typical example of, as you can see and read here, all these things. So I will explain everything whatever I have written it here, and keep it in a simple manner and simple language so that people can understand the motivation of this lecture and this tutorial. Okay, so you can take the example of food delivery app, right? So the food delivery app, the purpose is just to order your food and get it delivered at your doorstep, right? So we have a set of functionality in this food delivery application, like user logged in or user create his own account in the application, and he just logged in and he searched for food and place order, make the payment and get it delivered to his doorstep. Okay, so in order to meet and develop this type of functionality as application, then we, using the microservice architecture, then we break these features as a service, right? Say for example, user service, as you can see here, the purpose of this is just to have the user management, like creating the user so that user can do the sign up and the login, the user authentication purpose, right? So we have a user management stuff in our user service. Similar way, like we have a order service for order related information and management, payment service, delivery and delivery service for tracking our delivery, where it is there, or after placing the order, so we want to track it and we can cancel it. Okay, so these are the things. So to develop this type of food delivery application, we have to break our functionality in the multiple small services. So this is a typical example of the microservice architecture, where we broke all our functionality as a service. Like you can see here, user service, order service, payment service and delivery service, and could be some more service like restaurant service, because we need to find the restaurant and we have to find the menu item from each restaurant, so like that. Okay, so I hope you understand what I am trying to say here is. So now coming to the characteristics of the microservice, like I said, so if you are developing any small service per feature as a microservice, so it will be developed, it can be developed independently, it can be deployed independently, and it can be scaled up, right, based upon the traffic. So it can be have the multiple instance of the same application just to serve the traffic, right? So this is how this is how we have the property of this microservice, right? Another thing which you can use the multiple technology for each service. Say for example, I want to do the user service in Go language, okay, and order service I want to develop in Python, and the payment I want to do it in the Java, right? So you have a freedom and flexibility to choose any language to develop any service, right? And like I said, focused and small, like should do one thing, right? This service should be responsible for its own business logic, not for others. So it should be focused on only one business functionality. Okay, so this is another characteristics of the microservice. Now coming to the loosely coupled part, which is very important, right? So because loosely coupled thing which make your system and application more maintenance free, right? So services talk to each other just to get the data and act upon it. So they talk to each other using API via REST API or gRPC, or maybe using Kafka or messaging system, any messaging system. So they communicate each other and they collaborate each other to just get the feature and functionality and request done, right? So this is another characteristics of the microservice architecture, is a loosely coupled. Now coming to the pros and cons of microservice architecture is like I said, we have a so we can consider these characteristics as a pros. So like I said, develop, deploy and scale independently, fault isolation. So this is important thing. Say suppose you have a small services which comprised of the product, right? And if failing of the one service, it do not affect or break the whole application. Okay guys, so this is how the things working like that in our microservice architecture. And like I said, technology flexibility, so you have a freedom to choose any language to develop microservice. And of course maintenance and the ownership. So the maintenance part, because it is small focused, so it will be easy to maintain. Say for example, user service, if any issue comes in production for the user service, so people will aware of that. Whatever the user related functionality which we have, it will be it will be inside this user service, right? And it can be easily maintained in order to bug fixing or enhancement like that, right? So this is how about the maintenance. And the ownership, of course, people can become owner of the each microservice because it is small focused and independent, so people can own it. Okay, so that ownership can be established for these services, for a team or for a people, right? Now coming to the cons part, the most thing is complexity. Like I said, for a particular product, it can comprise of the hundred of microservice, right? So the managing these services internally and taking care, it becomes complex sometimes, right? And also we need to involve DevOps people, CI/CD people, just to make sure that the infra level changes are already in place and all that, right? So if any say suppose if we are using any managed service like any cloud solution like GCP or Amazon, AWS and all that, so we have a dependency on the cloud and DevOps, so we have to involve these people if anything happens, if anything needed to get it correct or something like that. Okay. And network latency, like service talk to each other, so we have to make sure that latency would be always low, so that there won't be any problem and throughput always be high. And debugging, yeah, so we have involved, say for example, any feature or any service which comprised of multiple microservice, so debugging these things and these services from one service to another service, it requires proper tracking, kind of using request ID or some ID, so that we can track like this, the request is traveling from service A to service B to service C, and where is the breaking. So debugging is also sometimes challenging. Okay. And of course operational overhead, we also have to need to have this Kubernetes, CI/CD pipeline, Docker and all that, and more infrastructures and costs. So these are also involved as a overhead for microservice architecture development. Okay, so this is all about cons in short description. Now coming to the architectural part, it's very simple. I just kept it very simple. So we have a client which could be web application or mobile application. They can send the request, and request will be received by API gateway, which is the entry service, where we have a routing, authentication, rate limiting, some many more other things. So mostly is for routing, so it will route based on the request definition, it will route to the respective service, and the respective service will receive the request and gives the response back to the user. Okay, so this is how this microservice in nutshell I can say. Microservice brief for about what is microservice, example, characteristics, pros and cons. So that is for this lecture. And in the next tutorial we will discuss about how to develop any small microservice, like user management, what are the data models which we have to consider, how to create the API using as a microservice. All these things we will see in the next lecture. So thanks for listening and thanks for understanding. I hope it is clear. And please do subscribe my channel and give some comment if you like it. Please press the like button and of course hit the bell icon. Thanks a lot for watching this first tutorial.